Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi there.
And so today I was hoping to talk a little bit about participating in a clinical trial, just a little overview about what clinical trials involve, and also what we have here at the Shannon Parker Center for Allergy and Asthma Research within Stanford University. I don't know, Tina, do you think we should maybe wait maybe 30 more seconds to see if more folks join, or should I just get started?
Looks like a bunch of people just joined right now. We have a total of 24 participants. If you can just remind people to post questions in the chat box.
Okay, great. Yeah, if folks wouldn't mind just posting their questions in the chat box, and I will try to go through the presentation in about 20 minutes, so we have a little bit of time in the end to address any questions that may have come up. Okay, great. All right. All right. So, I mean, if someone's joining on this Zoom line, you may have food allergy, or you know someone who has food allergy, or just want to learn more about the issue. So food allergy is a major growing problem. 6 million children under the age of 18 have it. In every classroom, there are at least 2 children with food allergies. There, from 1997 to 2011, there's been a 50% increase in the cases of food allergy, new food allergy diagnoses, and this trend has continued to rise. It costs a lot of money. $25 billion a year in the US is spent managing food allergy, and this includes emergency rooms, hospitalizations, medications, the additional cost of buying allergen-free food. All of those things add up. Food allergy, even though peanut is the one that's talked about the most, there are 8 other foods that are involved in 90% of food allergies, and these include the ones we know about the most include egg, milk, soy, wheat, peanut, of course, tree nuts, shellfish, fish, and sesame has been one that's been emerging a lot more lately. At our food allergy center, what we've seen is that people aren't allergic to just one food. Up to 30% of our patients are actually allergic to more than one food. And we are seeing this trend where more and more adults are now being diagnosed with new onset food allergy or de novo food allergy, where they've been able to tolerate the food before and then over time no longer able to. And that is a 15% out of the population gets diagnosed in adulthood. In terms of kind of what makes someone more prone to food allergy, that is something that we are continuing to learn about and don't completely understand. Genetic predisposition alone does not explain the rise that we have seen. In 65% of folks who are diagnosed, neither parent have food allergy. There have been some thought about early life environmental exposures, and whether someone's grown up in a farm or in the city, whether they have older siblings, whether they go to daycare or home. So there may be environmental factors that play a role as well. In terms of therapies at the research center here, we investigate a lot of different therapeutic options, so in which I'll kind of touch upon, but we have a whole lecture at a later date to talk about the different therapies. But so in terms of food allergies, therapeutic intervention is definitely one way to address this problem. But what our center now is becoming more focused on as well is prevention. We have 2 large studies in the works that are multi-site, international, NIH sponsored, where we are going to explore prevention opportunities and what we can do right at birth to kind of address this increasing burden of food allergy. In the past, we used to think food allergy was an issue that was affecting just a few countries, but really it is a global problem now. 30 to 40% of the world population is now affected by one or more allergic conditions. And a lot of these diagnoses are in young people. And as the young population reaches adulthood, the burden of allergic diseases is expected to increase even more. And when I say allergies as a blanket term, really it encompasses anaphylaxis secondary to food allergies or drug and insect allergies. There's asthma, rhinitis, meaning seasonal allergies, conjunctivitis, swelling, hives, eczema, having an eosinophilic disorder or eosinophilic esophagitis. So all of these are part of the umbrella of allergies. And so part of the mission of our center is also trying to understand what causes food allergy. I touched upon very briefly a few slides ago. We've been looking at genetics, diet, vitamins. There's studies being done on animals and microbiome, gut microbial conditions and skin, cutaneous microbiome. Diet is something that is also looked at in a lot of detail in one of the studies that we have underway. It is something we're going to specifically look at. So some of these factors can protect you against food allergy and some may predispose you to food allergy, but it's multifactorial. It's not just one thing that puts you at risk. And then in addition, we use the term food allergy, but really there is so many presentations of this. There's early onset where, after the first exposure, the child is diagnosed to be allergic. There's late onset where someone's diagnosed as an adult. Someone can be multi-sensitized, meaning they're allergic to multiple foods, or they can be monosensitized and allergic to just one food. They can have atopic comorbidities, meaning other allergic conditions like eczema, seasonal allergies, asthma. Some food allergic folks are refractory to therapy, as in oral immunotherapy. Some of these patients do really well, while others have a lot of adverse events, and it's really hard. And in some cases, the food allergy just spontaneously resolves. So trying to understand all these different phenotypes and what really, if there's a way to identify, what is going on, we can actually provide precision medicine and try to understand, what kind of therapy is perfect for what kind of individual. But it's all some of the work that we're trying to do presently. So our vision for the center, and this is the Shannon Parker Center, we're located in Mountain View. We're part of Stanford, so our lab is on campus, but we see our patients, our participants at the El Camino Hospital. So there are kind of 6 integrated and interdependent disciplines. There's the research science aspect of it, where, all the, blood that we collect goes to our labs, and we're looking at, a myriad of biomarkers and different lab processes to understand what is a diagnostic tool, what is a way to understand how a person is progressing through their therapy. There is, of course, the inpatient research aspect. All our clinical trials are within the unit at El Camino Hospital, so safety is a big aspect of a lot of what we do. And then our clinic is multi-specialty, as in, a lot of our providers also have outpatient clinics within Stanford. So I, for instance, work with our GI colleagues and nutrition and have a clinic within LPCH doing eosinophilic esophagitis. And I'm also part of the team that's involved in oral immunotherapy in our outpatient clinics as well. So it's a way to kind of bridge, research and long-term care. Training and education is also a big part of our community, where, we want to be a resource for anyone who is suffering from allergies. So not just for participants, but we try to, and it's always a work in progress, and we're always trying to improve. So we appreciate, feedback and questions, and anywhere we can kind of provide more education within our community regarding food allergy. We also have some community outreach programs where we are now working with the underserved. We've collaborated with the Center for Youth Wellness, trying to address asthma in certain neighborhoods where they're underserved and may not have access to care. Also, we just got funding for a project where we're helping families with food insecurities, trying to make sure they're especially in food allergic families, to make sure they have access to the food their children need. And of course, the additional part of our research aspect is collaboration across the world, not just within the US, but we share some of the samples that we've collected, all de-identified, of course, and work with colleagues in Switzerland, in the UK, in Australia, all with the common goal of trying to not just treat food allergy, but understand and prevent it, and better diagnostic strategies. How am I doing on time? Okay. So some of the questions that we get a lot from our patients in the food allergy setting, and I'm just going to read through these questions a little bit to help kind of drive home the point that there's a lot we don't know yet. So what dose will protect me from ever having an allergic reaction again? How long do I have to be on therapy to be successful? Will I ever be cured? And if so, how long will it last? Will I be able to eat ad lib, or do I need to take the food every day? Can I take therapy for one food and get protection for my other food allergies? Will I have allergic reactions during the therapy? How does it work? Is there anything I can do to make it work better? And how can I prevent food allergies in my children? So these are, excellent questions. These are all questions we're trying to answer daily, and and it varies from person to person. And this is where there's still such a need for research studies to help understand this, so that we can roll it out in the outpatient setting and have answers for these questions. So within our center, we have numerous types of studies that we do. We, of course, do some industry-sponsored studies, which include patch studies. We've been very involved from the beginning with Aimmune, who have now the FDA-approved drug Palforzia. But we're also in a lot of consortia where we work with other leaders within the field, both within the United States and internationally. And this includes, through our collaboration with NIAID, and these are NIH-sponsored study through the Immune Tolerance Network and the Consortium of Food Allergy Research that includes several academic centers across the country. And Stanford's a part of these groups, so that we can design better studies and participate in better care for our patients and families. I'm just going to go through the slides a little faster, just so we have some time for questions. So some of the, when I mentioned that we're trying to assess different diagnostic processes or labs to better understand food allergy, and that's because the current methods we have of testing are just the skin prick testing and IgE levels. And those have a high rate of false positives, or don't really paint the full picture of how severe a person's reaction is, or whether they'll respond to the therapy that's being given. So these are just a list of some of the other biomarkers that have been looked at, and we're trying to understand if the whole picture will give us a better understanding of how a food allergic person is doing. We have numerous phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials. We have patch studies, OIT studies, but we also have some novel therapies that include biologics that suppress the allergic response as we initiate OIT for multiple food allergens. We also have a study that's actually a vaccine, a peanut vaccine, that introduces your immune system to the peanut protein without inducing anaphylaxis. And we're also trying to roll out more long-term follow-up data, where we're trying to reach out to participants who have been part of studies to better understand the long-term outcomes, like how, it's great that we know our families while they're within our center, but what's going on with them after they're done? Are they able to continue with dosing? How have they been doing? And, overall effect on quality of life is a big part of food allergy. As I mentioned earlier, we are trying to do more prevention studies, and one of those will be through a birth cohort study, where we will follow mothers and newborn babies to understand development of allergy several years down the line. And we're also rolling out this infant trial, trying to understand atopic march, where we're going to look at dry skin or eczema and see if we prevent, if we take great care of the skin, does that reduce long-term risk of food allergy? So one of the, one of the benefits of joining a clinical study is that one can be part of a research center that's really at the forefront of food allergy. It's not, it's focused not just on the trial, but really, understanding the lab aspect, the diagnostic aspect, the prevention aspect, and through our, you know, interactions with other experts in the field, we try to provide our families with the most up-to-date and accurate information that we can provide. And in addition to that, participants, commitment, like coming into our clinic, donating their blood, helping us answer these questions, helps generations of children down the line. Several years ago, OIT wasn't even an option, but through clinical trials, now we have an FDA approved drug, and a lot more outpatient allergist offices are able to offer OIT. So I feel because of clinical research, we have come a lot further in the treatment of food allergies than we would have been able to otherwise. And another reason to participate in food allergy, either research or just being involved with the center, is that quality of life is a reduced quality of life is a major aspect of living with food allergy. And we have so many participants and families where there may be one food allergic child, but it affects the entire family, all the siblings, the parents, the grandparents, the extended family. And just being educated about what's happening and being empowered to know what are treatment options or what can be done, or having a resource, I feel like is a very important aspect of improving quality of life, or just feeling more in control. I just wanted to spend the remaining minutes kind of reviewing the components of a clinical trial, and I'll speak a little faster so we save some time for questions. But essentially, with clinical trials, the way they're designed is they build on existing knowledge. We have to have a testable hypothesis. We go through rigorous kind of statistical analysis to power the study to help us understand, whatever our hypothesis is, with the number of participants we want to enroll. Are we actually going to be able to answer that question? We try to control for bias through not just our analysis, but also through blinding. And this is why some trials will include a placebo arm to really help us understand, is there a difference? And then most of the times, the participants don't know what they're getting, and the investigators don't know what their patients are getting, and that helps control for bias as well. In food allergy, there are lots of animal models, but really our center focuses on human subjects. And throughout clinical trial, in addition to the intervention, we do collect a lot more samples. So either skin tape strips or urine or stool, or swabs and blood, of course, to help answer some of the questions that I had mentioned earlier. Just as a quick overview, and sometimes some studies kind of overlap between the different phases, but usually when you hear phase 1 trial, it is assessing safety and the dosing profile. Phase 2 trials are really to determine activity or response to a new treatment. Phase 3 is an efficacy of new treatment and assess risk-benefit profiles. And these are the studies that have already kind of gone through rigorous processes and analyses and regulatory checkpoints to make sure they're safe enough to be used. And then phase 4 tends to be post-marketing safety surveillance. And randomization, so this is something that comes up during a lot of clinical trials, is the terms. So I just wanted to go over them really quickly. So single blinded is when only the participant is blinded, so the providers are not. Double blinded is when the participant and the experimenter are blinded. So we do a lot of food challenges, and they're called double blind food challenges because we have no idea what the participant is getting, and the participant has no idea what they're getting. Triple blinded is when the participant, experimenter, and the monitoring boards are all blinded. Most of our trials are double blinding. So our regulatory processes, when the NIH reviews our data, or the IRB or FDA, they would know what's happening. And then of course there are non-randomized studies as well. And all patients who join a clinical trial are protected by the FDA and IRB guidelines, and the data is reviewed at specific time points under the Data Safety and Monitoring Board. So the safety of patients should be at the forefront of all of these trials. Some of the, for when participants are being recruited, the way eligibility is assessed is really based on what question the study is trying to answer. So eligibility may be based on, so if you want to join in a study, we have to identify eligibility first and obtain informed consent. And that includes kind of explaining the study and going through all the questions that participants may have. And participants or patients should always ask, go really kind of pay attention to what the study entails, the time commitment, the benefits, the risk, the adverse events. And what's really important to know is that even if someone signs a consent, they can leave and withdraw at any time with no, and it really shouldn't be something to worry about, and they are free to leave at all moments. Now, in terms of eligibility, usually a lot of studies kind of specify what age range they want to be using, what specific disease we are treating. So a lot of times, some participants could benefit from the study a lot. However, because of the eligibility that's been set in place, we are unable to recruit them. And it's always unfortunate, but we try to include all our participants in our registry so that as new trials come up, or if it's a study we are designing and we know this has been an issue in the past, we try to include it so that we can be as inclusive as possible. And then just a list of questions that all participants who are considering a research trial, either through our center or through someplace else, is really kind of focusing on making sure all their questions are answered. And I just put together a few questions on the slide. I know Tina is probably going to post this lecture, so it's something if someone's considering a study can kind of look through at their own time. And then I wanted to say, if you're ever kind of exploring and trying to see what kind of clinical trials are out there, they're all registered at clinicaltrials.gov. So you can really search through disease type, location, and scroll through what is being offered out there. So at our center, what kind of sets us apart and allows us to treat folks in our community is that we do offer 24/7 support for our trial families. During the day, it's our our staff, but at nighttime, all our physicians are part of our on-call system. So anytime there's a reaction, there is a person you can reach who will help you, walk you through what to do next. As I mentioned, we have great relationships with all outpatient providers in the area. So if we're happy to connect with your primary allergist and let them know what's going on and help and support you even after you've completed a trial here. On our team, we have a huge team on the floor. We include clinicians, and that is nurse practitioners, PAs. We have primary investigators, sub-investigators, study coordinators. We have a pharmacist on the floor. We have a food flour manufacturing facility right across the way who actually create all our food flours under good manufacturing practices, where all the protein content is, really kind of looked at before we bring it from the lab to in front of the patient. And then our floor, we try to do everything as seamlessly as possible. We have, our staff are all trained in blood draws, injections, skin prick testing, spirometry. So you can come to the same floor and get it all done. We also have a psychologist on our staff because food allergy can be so traumatic, and we have someone who specializes in food allergy and dealing with issues that may arise around that, and participating in food challenges where you're expected to consume the food that you're allergic to. It can be very stressful for a lot of children and adults. And then in addition to the research trials we do, we actively try to be of course, all of these photos are pre-COVID, no one has masks, but we try to be as a member of the community and try to help as much as we can. We work with FAIR and other groups to provide resources, education, and just try to help as much as we can. And I just, yeah, wanted to let you know that, we have collaborations with dermatologists, with GI teams and collaborators outside of Stanford. So even though a research trial may seem like a small part of the Stanford community, we are in fact plugged into a lot of work being done across the globe. I don't think we have time anymore, so I
Yeah,
will
Tina,
kind of,
we have
yeah,
5 more minutes and I want you to be able to answer some
yeah.
questions.
So I just kind of plugged in a few testimonials of some positive comments. And then here's just a screen of our contact info and what kind of trials we usually participate in. And just another handy dandy picture of the different kind of studies we do, are active in the moment. And thank you so much for your time and attention.
Tina, do you want to keep up the how to contact us slide just
Yeah.
while you answer Q&As or Qs and give As? So the first question I have is, has OIT ever successfully treated fish or shellfish allergy?
Yes. So we currently have a shrimp allergy study that's ongoing. Fish and shellfish have been harder to treat than, let's say, peanut, because I think there's a lot of different species of shellfish and fish, and it's not always cross-reactive. But we have successfully done so. So if you want to reach out to our team and have, I don't want to go through too much, participant and patient-specific information to protect privacy and confidentiality, but I'm happy to chat with someone interested through a phone call or email.
Okay.
So Tina, what is, if someone wants to set up some time or has a question, what is
They
the
can
best way?
definitely just email snp center allergy.inquiry or short
Okay.
just snp allergy at stanford.edu. I can also, it's also in our e-newsletter. So at the bottom, if you scroll down, there's an email icon and you can just click that to email our central center, and we can get to your questions if they're specific, if they're broad, and we can find ways to connect you with a clinician if possible. Next question, can someone with an egg allergy get the COVID vaccine and flu shot?
Yes, yes. So I realized that I jumped into the talk and I never actually formally introduced myself. So I am a pediatrician, and then I trained in allergy immunology in the East Coast. And we routinely, because a lot of primary care providers may have been nervous about providing the flu shot, and we would say, yes, please do it. It is very important to protect against the flu. And if someone was concerned, we were happy to administer the shot within our allergy clinic. So if this is a concern, please reach out to us, and we're happy to talk to you or your primary care doctor or your allergist if it's difficult to obtain. So.
I'm gonna tag on. Someone just asked the same thing about the vaccine for peanut and tree nut allergies to get the COVID vaccine. Is that?
Yeah, yes, no, that is a great question. I know with these reports of anaphylaxis in the news, it can be very stressful. At our clinic, what we're in our outpatient clinic, so it's not approved for pediatrics yet, but in our adult clinic, they are administering the vaccine in folks who have food allergy before. What we recommend is you make sure you have your up-to-date EpiPen. You maybe hang around the doctor's office a little longer than usual. I mean, the standard time now is 15 minutes, but really speak to your allergist or your primary care doctor about hanging around the waiting room, maybe, for an hour. Just, I know in COVID times, it's not always possible, but I think just carrying your epi with you is so important. But I highly encourage getting the vaccine.
Okay. Next question. My 12-year-old has multiple food allergies: tree nuts, mustard, sesame, and kiwi. Keen to understand thoughts on trials or therapies for multiple allergies now and in the future.
Yes, yes. So multi-OIT treatment is something that Stanford has been involved in for many, many years now. In fact, it's been the forerunner in designing those trials, and now it's one of the studies that is sponsored by the NIH and through our consortium of food allergy research. So the way our we currently have at least 2 multi-food OIT trials at the moment. And the way we kind of address it is we treat with a biologic, so an injection that's already FDA approved for other conditions, but not food allergy. And what it does is it suppresses your allergic response, and then we're able to give you OIT to multiple foods at the same time and up dose quickly and get you up to maintenance.
All
But
right.
I'm happy to chat more about specific patient scenarios if you email us directly, and we can set up some time.
All right. I think we have time for one more question. And if, sorry for the others, I can direct the questions to Dr. Sindher. If you want to jot down your email privately to me, if I didn't get to your question, I can send that to her and she can reach out. So the last question is, my son has or was in the cashew motif study. He's now eating and tolerating 1 gram of cashew protein per day as his lifetime maintenance. Is he still eligible for the additional OIT studies at the center if he's still eating cashews?
This is a very specific question. Tina, if you grab their name and info, we can definitely call you separately and go over the
I will reach out to that. And I guess, do you want to do one more?
Sure. And I apologize if I'm not answering. I just want to protect patient confidentiality and just, personal information. That's all.
It says Dr. Sindher said that the center is seeing people who never had allergies developing allergies in adulthood. Have they seen this change occur around a distinct age? Do children who have allergies before tend to develop more in the future?
That is an excellent question. I will tell you that when I first started allergy training, we were taught that, if it's an adult coming to you asking you about a food allergy and they've not had it as a child, it's probably something else. It's not food allergy. However, from that time to now, we are seeing an increase in new onset de novo food allergies where they've been able to tolerate the food before. For whatever reason, they may not have had exposure to the food for some time, and during that time of avoidance, they have developed clinical reactivity or sensitivity. We haven't found a pattern of a specific age. We do know that certain foods tend to occur more frequently in adulthood where they've been able to tolerate previously, and this includes shellfish. So we do see that is like the #1 de novo food allergen, but we are seeing other foods creeping up. There's an excellent paper by Dr. Gupta that was published not too long ago. And Tina, perhaps we can attach a link to that paper, but it addresses kind of the US impact of food allergies and what we are seeing in people develop in adulthood.
Yeah, I can definitely link that to our next newsletter or email blast. Probably not right now because people are probably getting off lunch or
or I could reach out to the person who asked the question specifically and send it to
them. I have emails
perfect
ready for you and cues. Thank you everyone for joining us for this first session. We hope that you still join us with our other topics moving forward. We're trying to make this every month at the same time on the 4th Wednesday at 12:30, just to kind of keep the series in the same wavelength and everybody can make time in their calendar to join. We have different speakers from our center, so we're excited for all of our doctors to join and talk about these specific topics that Dr. Sindher and Chintraja put together.
Thank you so much, Tina. And please, if you have other questions, do email us on our inquiry email and give us suggestions on additional information that's important to you that we can maybe address at a future date. Thank you. Bye.